So I'll be taking us through the topic titled displaying scrolling items and with recycler views. And I think I've done the introduction the last time, and let's just build on what we started talking about. Jimmy, Olamide, and the other person told me about what they've learned about RecyclerView. And by the way of reminder, I told us that RecyclerView is a view group, which is adapter based, and we can arrange all the children in the RecyclerView with different styles. And those are the things that we call the manners. It can either be horizontal, it can be vertical, and it can be grid. And that grid can have a special type, and it can be staggered type of arrangement. So we explained that the last class, and we said the view group is just a parent view, which has other views inside of it. That is, it tries to control all those child views, itself being the parent of those small views. And by being adapter based, it means everything that happens on the recycler view is being handled by the adapter. And like I said earlier, that the adapter too is dependent on the data source. So the adapter is dependent on the data source, where the recycler view itself depend on the adapter. Later on in this class, we'll be showing us how we can do some manipulations with this adapter and immediately getting the UI changes on our recycler view immediately. So I showed us how WhatsApp, a screen for WhatsApp, where recycler view is being used, a list of charts. It can even be the list of your statuses and all status updates from people. Those are recycler view because they are recurring views that represents like a list of items for us. I showed us our Facebook Android application as well, this very one, where you can see all these interesting views being outlined here. So recycler view is used, and a typical example of a grid styling of child views in recycler view is your photo application, where you have all those picture tiled in the application. So that is a grid layout manager being used here. Whereas the one for WhatsApp, a linear layout manager is being used here, but the orientation of that linear layout manager is vertical. This same thing goes for the WhatsApp application. The layout manager that was used here is a linear layout manager, but the orientation is horizontal. The difference between a grid layout and a staggered layout manager is that you may have views having different sizes. That is, the width of one child view might be different from the width of another child view. It might be the same for height. The height might be different. It might just be what make it staggered. That's where the word staggered came into the scene. That is staggered. The height may not be the same for all the children in the recycler view, and at times it might be the same. So a situation whereby the width and height are the same for all those child views, we say the layout manager used there is a grid layout manager. So let's go to our Android Studio to demonstrate all these things that I've talked about. So, but in this class, I will show you how you can use different layout managers in your recycler view. I will show you how you can use a single recycler view to show multiple items so as to enable you to have a smooth scrolling. I will show you how you can handle click actions on each of those child views in your recycler view. And at the same time, I will show you how you can dynamically change data on your recycler view, and you immediately see the UI changes on your recycler view itself. The adapter will be the one to power that for us. I will show you how you can animate each of those child views. When you scroll up, when you scroll down, those child views should be animated. And at the same time, I will show you how you can handle the swipe action. By swipe action, what I meant is, okay, take for instance, if you're chatting with someone on WhatsApp, if you swipe a particular message either you saw that of the other person, if you swipe it to the right or to the left. Okay, but I think WhatsApp uses the left. If you swipe it to the left, you will see that that message is quoted and waiting for you to type a message to reference that particular chat that you swiped. So I will show you how you can do that one too in this class. So that will be the class objective. And later on, I will tell you how my career has been since I started working as an Android developer. I will tell you that, and I will share my experience with you. I evolved from being a beginner to the level that I am presently. So that's when we keep to the end of the class. So let's move to our Android studio.
All right, Larry.
Yeah, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Breaking.
What do you say?
There were some things I didn't get earlier because there were some things you said I didn't get earlier. You were breaking. I couldn't hear your voice like breaking.
Oh, sorry about that. Is it better now?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. So let's go to our Android studio to demonstrate all this. All right, can you see my Android studio with my emulator now?
Yes.
All right, yeah, and my voice is very clear as well.
Yes.
Very clear. Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much. So in the last class, I'm sure you're familiar with this view where I showed you a recycler view, where we demonstrated a recycler view for a chat screen on WhatsApp. So because each of the items that you have in this recycler view, oh, sorry, please, can you keep notes? Can you keep notes? Can you keep notes? All right, Dotson, please, can you mute your mic? Dotson and Johnson, please, can you mute your mic so that you don't disturb others? All right, thank you for that. All right, thank you. So this is a single item recycler view. So the reason why we say that is because each of the child views here, they have the same layout. There's no difference. They are the same. So this is a single item linear layout. There is no difference in each of these child views. So we will be talking more on this, where I will be making examples and making demonstrations and illustrations. I'll be using this view to do that for us. So now to where we can use multiple items on a single recycler view. You can see this very first part for my status is a different view entirely from this recent update header. So here we basically have two different layouts on this recycler view. So in that situation, we try as much as possible to enable our recycler view to give us these end results. And it's a bit more complex than when you have a single item on your recycler view. So I'll be showing us how we can achieve multiple layout recycler view in the course of this class. So the essence of having a multiple item on your recycler view in a situation whereby you want to demonstrate something like this, that is, you want to show different layouts on your recycler view. The major reason why we do this, and we try as much as possible to achieve this, is to enable us to have a smooth scroll. I think I told us that in the last class. You can see there's a smooth scroll. Now I designed something else here. Although it's the same screen, but I use different approach. Now, see this very viewed update session. Can you see? Can you see the way it's scrolling?
Yes.
It shouldn't scroll this way. This is not a small scrolling. You can see this is not a small scrolling at all. That's the essence of way trying to achieve multiple layout item recycler view. You can see the same screen with multiple layout item. There's a small scroll. None of these sessions is scrolling independently, or like the others, unlike the other method that we use here. So I won't be showing us how to use this method because we are not achieving a small scroll in this situation. I will show us how we can use a single recycler view to enable us to have multiple items. And let me just explain how this is achieved for you. So this session is just like a layout on its own. This is another layout on its own. This section here is this session here where the recent of this session is one recycler view on its own. This viewed session is a recycler view on its own as well, and this guy as well is a recycler view on his own. So on this view we have 3 recycler views. Is not good for development. So let's see how we can use a single recycler view to achieve something of that nature. All right, so let me demonstrate how you can use different layout managers in your project. So like I told us, I will be using the charts, this chart screen. That's what I'll be using to demonstrate things in this class. So this our application starts. I'm talking about this screen. This screen is the main activity. This activity is the main activity, and that's why I'm here on the main activity. So let me go to where I'll be explaining most of the things you'll be learning in this class. So this is the main activity, and let's go to single layout item activity. So for you to be able to use a recycler view in your activity or maybe in your fragment, we are using activity in this case. There are 4 things that you need. You need to declare the recycler view in your XML. So let's go to the XML file for this screen. So this is the XML file for this screen. And if you can see very well, you can see that this preview is the same as what we have here. So this is our recycler view defined in our XML file. So this recycler view must be powered by an adapter. Don't forget I told you something about that. It must be powered by an adapter. And this is the adapter in this situation. This is a chart adapter, which will be powering our recycler view. So let's go inside the chart adapter. This is the chart adapter. I told you earlier that an adapter will be dependent on the data source. And in this situation, we are using this list as our data source. This list is our data source. So it will be the one that will contain all the list of charts. You can see this is a list of charts. So we regard this as our data source. So we use this list as our data source for this recycler view. I hope you're all following me.
Yes, we're following you.
Yes, well,
All right. So if you have any question or if something is not clear, please call me back so that we don't move too far before you understand the concept. If the concept is not clear, please call me back so that I can explain it and we move forward from there. All right, so we'll be diving into the code properly now. Because we said our recycler view is heavily dependent on the adapter will be the one to create new view. And don't forget, each of the child views, they are modeled as a view holder. Each of them, they are modeled as view holder. And the view holder for our chart adapter in this situation is the chart view holder. This is the chart view holder. So each of these views, they are called view holders. They are called view holders. They are called view holders. So each of the items that you see, they are modeled as view holders. And the adapter will be the one to do the work of generating the items, will be the one to generate all those child views, will be the one to bind data to that child view, will be the one to tell us how many items will be on our recycler view, and will be the one to do the recycling. And we know that the essence of using recycler view is to help us to recycle all these views. Let's go a step backward. The beauty of recycler view over list view is that the number of child views on our recycler view is not the same as the total number of the items in our data source. Meaning that our data source, which you call the chart list, if it has 30 items inside of it, the number of child views that we have will not be 30. So the number of child views that we can only have is the number of child views that can be contained on our phone screen at that very moment. Take for instance now, this our phone. Let us count the number of child views that we can see at a time. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Meaning only 8 child views will be generated when this recycler view is being created. Let's quickly demonstrate that. I will show you how this is true by putting a breakpoint at the point where our adapter is generating all these child views, that is the view holder. Now, the adapter will call this function called onCreateViewHolder to do this. Let's put a breakpoint here and see the number of times this method will be called when our recycler view is being created. So let us start this application in a debug mode. So I'm starting this in a debug mode. When this is being called, this function will be called when our recycler view is being created. So let's see what I'm talking about now. All right, so let's click on this. All right, so you can see this function is called because our recycler view is to be created. So all those child views has to be created. So it's being called the first time, that's 1. It's being called the second time, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This function was called 9 times, and I will tell you why. Let's count the number of visible items that you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The reason why it was called the 9th time, can you see the very top of the 9th item showing somehow just immediately after the 8th item? That is the reason why it was called the 9th time, because this guy is very much visible. You can see it's very much visible. That's why it was called 9 times. So now we have more items on this recycler view. The beauty of recycler view is that it won't call on create view for all the items that you have in the recycler view. Now let us scroll up and see if this on create view will be called again. I'm very sure it won't be called again. So scroll up. Is it being called? Okay, on create view is being called because of this last guy. Now this guy is about leaving the scene. This item view at position 0 is about leaving the scene. So let's go to where the recycler view uses this view again. So on view recycled should be called on this item that is leaving the scene. So now let's keep scrolling and let's see what happens. Scroll. Oh, okay, we don't have more items. Let me see. Do you have more items? Yes. I actually saw that. Thank you for calling my attention to that. Okay, let's scroll. Oh, do we have more items? Okay. Oh, let's go back. I'm sorry. I think my emulator is okay. Let's stop this and let's restart this. All right. So to turn up. Okay, so let me attach debugger to this. All right, so let's go back to this guy. All right, so let's scroll and you will see that this function will be called. Can you see? Some items, they've left the scene. So instead of our adapter to recreate them it tries to recycle them. Can you see? It tries to recycle them. And under the hood, which I won't like to show you because that will eat into our time, this unbind view holder will be called immediately after. So let's see, after this view has been recycled, the adapter tries to adapt the data for the next child view to the recycled view holder. So let's see what happens. When you scroll, it calls unbind view because it has called on view recycle. So a view is created at once. Once it has been created, the adapter tries to reuse it by doing what? By recycling the view holder first, and after recycling the view holder, it tries to bind the data to that recycled view holder. So I think you are able to demonstrate something with that, and I mean, that is a good way for you to up your debugging skill, and that will really help you. So far so good. I want to show you how you can use different linear layouts, and we'll quickly just do that one in our XML. Because you can do that in your XML, you can either set the layout manager for your recycler view in either your XML or in your code. So let's quickly demonstrate this using our XML so you can see that. So let's use, this is linear, by the way. This is a linear layout manager. You can see this is linear and it has an orientation of vertical. So assuming you want to demonstrate the Facebook type of recycler view that I showed you, the only thing you need to do in this situation is to change this to horizontal. So when we change this to horizontal, you can see the orientation of our recycler view has changed. So let me explain this by using the concept of the linear layout. You all know linear layout, but that it uses orientation. If it is horizontal, the child views inside will be tiled, that is, will be arranged in an horizontal manner. And if it has an orientation of vertical, all those child views inside it will be aligned vertically. So that is that about the linear layout manager. What about when we want to use a grid linear layout manager? So layout manager, let's use grid linear layout manager. So if you use grid linear layout manager, I'm coming, I want to show you something. Okay, all right, we may not be able to demonstrate that with our XML. Please, let's just use our code straight up. So let's do that inside our code without wasting much time. So let's just use the code to demonstrate that. At times you may be limited using an XML, but you can't be limited using your code. So if you want to set the linear layout manager, you set it on your recycler view, and you say this is the function. You call it set linear layout manager. So set layout manager rather, we passed in linear layout manager. So let's pass in grid layout manager here. So this grid layout manager will take 3 parameters, varying parameters from you, and depending on how you want to use it. But now the only thing we will be using is this second function, because this function is an overloaded function. I don't know if you have been told that a function is overloaded, but in this situation, this is a constructor. So this is an overloaded constructor. An overloaded constructor means it has different constructor that takes in different number of parameters. So let's quickly do that. So we can use this as our context in this situation. And the second one is span count. So I want you to know something about span count. Span count means the number of child views that will be side by side. So in our situation, let us use 2. Let us just try 2 in this situation, and let us run our application so you can see. All right, so if we go here, you can see our the arrangement for our view, it has changed. So it's because we are using our grid layout manager. And don't forget, this recycler view, that is the layout for each of those child is optimized for linear layout. So I didn't design it for grid layout manager. That's why it looks awkward this way. So I just want to demonstrate how you can use grid layout manager to you. And if you increase this one to 3, let's see what happens. You increase it to 3. You can see you have three items, 1, 2, 3, staying side by side. So that's how to use all those layout manager. So the last one is staggered layouts, linear layout manager. That's one we may not really enjoy it because of this arrangement, and it's more or less like a grid. It's more or less like a grid linear layout manager, and you can see it has an overloaded constructor as well. But in this situation, let's just use span count of 3. Although we may not really see the difference between grid and staggered linear layout here, because each of our child views, they have the same width and height. And don't forget, I told you earlier that what differentiates a grid layout manager from staggered layout manager is that the child views inside staggered layout manager don't necessarily have the same width and the same height. If they have the same width and the same height, that is a grid layout manager. But if you think each of your child views may have varying length of width and height, then it's good for you to use the staggered layout manager. And like I said, let's quickly see this, and let's see this demonstrated so you can appreciate it. And let's see if we can really see the difference. But I'm not expecting us to see the difference between staggered grid layouts and the grid layout in the layout manager that we use. Oh, okay. Although it looks horrible, but this is staggered linear layout manager. So when you want to demonstrate it, just know that the only reason why you have to use it is because you have a view items inside your recycler view that can have different weight and different heights. That is the reason. So let us go back to what we designed this for, which is the linear layout manager, and let's be fine with our class. So for you to set up your recycler view, I try to find that recycler view by its ID. Then I want you to see this very function. It's very, very important. Set has fixed size. Set has fixed size. It's very important when you are setting up your recycler view, and most especially when you know that the weight and the height of the child views will be the same. That will really help your recycler view in terms of performance. That is, it will be able to determine the whole width and the whole height of your recycler view when it's doing the calculation, because the Android system, it tries to calculate this width and height of a particular view. So for you to help your recycler view to do this calculation very fast, if you know that the width and the height of your child views should be the same, it's good to set this property. But if you're not sure, don't set this property so that you won't have all your views squeezed into one place. So in this situation, if you set this to true and your recycler view knows that it is true, if it's trying to determine the total width or the total height of your recycler view, it will just do what? It will just multiply the width of each of those child views, because they have the same width and height. You told the recycler view by setting this property that, see, the width and height of all my child views, they are the same. So that's what you are telling the recycler view with this. So if you set it to true, then what it will just do is it will just get the item count. This is get item count. The adapter will just try to get item count. I'm coming, I want to show you the function. Get item count. Inside your adapter, get item count. I'm trying to look for that function so I can show you. So get item count, that is the number of items in my recycler view, which is basically the number of items inside your data source, just the size. So if the adapter is calculating the height of your recycler view, it will only do what? Take the number of items, then multiply it by the height of one of those child views. That way you will get the total height of your recycler view, because they are the same. And that's because you set this very function. So after doing that, you can then connect your adapter to your recycler view by doing this. So once you set once you set the property of our set adapter on your recycler view and you pass in this adapter, don't forget this adapter, we declared it here. We declared it here and we initialized it here, and we declare it here as well. So that's why we are able to pass it to this guy. And that's basically how you set up your recycler view. So now the whole race and the whole explanation now lies in the adapter that manages the recycler view, which is this in this situation. I was able to explain how this on create view holder is being used. So it just tries to inflate the view holder, and on bind view tries to adapt the data to that inflated view. And this get item count basically tells you the number of items in your that would be in your recycler view. So let me collapse on some functions so that they won't distract us, and those functions will be checking them later when I'm telling you how you can dynamically change items in your recycler view. So now when you want to declare your adapter, basically what you do is just to extend a particular class that you create. You extend an abstract class recyclerView.adapter. So it's an abstract class. You can see public abstract class. And what I mean by abstract class is that there are some functions declared inside that. There are some abstract functions which you have to implement in your class. You can see this is an abstract function on create view order, on bind view order. These guys, you have to do what? You have to implement them in your class. So that's why you can see we are overriding them, overriding on create view, overriding on bind view order, overriding get item count. These are the basic functions, abstract functions you have to implement. And now let's go to the constructor for this class. This is the constructor for this class, and we overload this our constructor, because now this is what I mean by overloading the other time. You can see this is a constructor for this class because it has the same name as the class. This is a function that has the same name as the class. So that's how we know a constructor in Android development. So this is a constructor. Did I say Android development? How we know a constructor in Java, because it's common to Java, not only Android. So that's how we know a constructor in Java. And you can see, although they have the same name, but they have different parameters. That's why we call them overloaded constructor. This one has a single input and this one has two. So if you come to where we declare it and you try to check, it will tell you that this chat adapter is overloaded. Which of them do you want to use? Okay, I'm going for the first one. That's why I'm doing this. I will tell you why I'm doing this later on when we are handling something on how to handle click on your recycler view items. So let's go back to the adapter. So this adapter, like I said, each of these child views, we call them view holders. They are view holders. So there should be a way your adapter will talk to your view holder. So when you are creating, basically you are returning what? You are returning in an instance of a view holder. You are not returning a view, but you are returning an instance of a view holder. Don't forget. So now that view holder is just what makes up each of these items on your recycler view. So let's go inside our view holder and let's see what that view holder does itself. So okay, sorry about that. View holder. So this is the view holder. Yeah. So view holder basically do what? When you instantiate it, you're passing the view, the inflated view. Don't forget, you try to inflate this item. Let me show you that item. Can you see? This is a single item which represents each of these guys. So this is a view that we are inflating. I just want to show you that. So once you inflate that, that's a resulting view. Don't forget layout inflator dot inflate. You are inflating a particular view. You are inflating a particular layout that is XML. You want to model it as view. That's the meaning of inflating. The way you can convert XML to an object in Java or to an object in Android is by inflating. And that will be done for you by the layout manager. When you call an inflate function on it, it will take your XML, it will model it for you as a view. So that view that you've inflated, you've modeled the XML, this XML, now it has been modeled to a view for us by a layout inflator. So that view is now what we are sending into our view holder. So now let us go inside our view holder. That view, see the constructor of our view holder. So can you see? It's taking in what? It's taking in parameter view. You can see the parameter view. That parameter view now is what we hacked on. Basically, what your child view holder does, what the child view holder does is to help you to bind data, to that created or inflated view holder. Don't let us model it together. Let me say it again. What the chat view holder does, or what view holder does basically, is to help you to adapt the data for that view to the generated view holder. So in that situation, what we're only doing is this, and I will show you how we are doing that. So at the point of creating this view holder, we are instantiating all these feeds. So now let us go back to this screen. On this, we have the avatar, and this is the avatar. Hello, are you with me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, good. So we have the avatar. You can see this is the avatar on the child view. So we have modeled it to a Java object. Now we have the time, and this is the time. This is the time view. This is the view. Apparently, I'm using the text view to represent that. So this is the view. We have the count, which is the chat count, and this is the count. You can see, and our message. This is the message. This is the message. This is the message preview, and the name of the person you're chatting with. You see, this is the name. You can see that everything on this view holder, we've tried to model them like this, and everything you named on that view holder is this. So at the point of instantiating your view holder, we try to instantiate these guys. And at that point, what we are just doing is just to find, and don't forget, I told you that this XML is what we turned to this view. And that view is what we passed on to this child view holder. Simply put, all the views that we have here, we can retrieve them from the inflated views. And that's what we are doing inside our view holder. We are only calling the function find view by ID, and you know how that works. Find this by ID. And now let's click on one of these views. If you click on this, it goes here. Now see, it goes to the name, apparently the inflated XML. That's where it is redirecting us to. So Android Studio knows how to map this out for you, and that's one of the good things about IntelliJ. So if you are using other IDE for Android development, you may not have this privilege. So this is specific to IntelliJ. When you click on a particular reference, it takes you to where it's being declared or where it's being used. So we just try to find this item view, use find view by ID to get each of these views to extract them out. So at instantiation, you extracted all these guys. Now, for you to be able to use your view order, you simply create it by extending a RecyclerView.viewHorder abstract class. So let's go inside and see, is it an abstract class? Yes, it's an abstract class. And you have to do what? You have to instantiate it, and you have to call the constructor, the super constructor. That's where it know what else to do. And you say the view is waiting for the view, which is an item view. That is, you have to call the constructor to set this view. And that's why we are doing it here. You see, immediately you instantiate Immediately you instantiate the chart view holder, we call super and pass this item view, we pass it into it. If you check that super, what is it trying to do? Is calling the constructor of the class you extended. So don't let me take you into the detail of that. You can always learn more about that. So now that's all about creating a view holder, and we've done that. So the next thing after the adapter has created the view holder is to bind data to that created view holder. So how are we getting that done? All right. So the adapter does a good work of sending to us the view holder that we created. Apparently, this view holder that was created here is what the adapter will pass to this function or bind view holder. So put in mind that the view holder that you created here is what the adapter is helping you to pass to this constructor. And the very second function, the very second argument that is being sent here is the position. It's telling you the position of that view holder so that you'll be able to use that to map to a particular data inside your data source. All right, what am I saying? Let's go back to our emulator. Now, let's go by the way of calling each of these view holders and know their position. So for this very first view holder, which has the name Opeolatoye, this is view holder with position 0. This is view holder, the one with Whitman's chart, view holder with position 1, the one with princess, position 2, 3, 4, 5, and all. So that's what the adapter will be passing to this constructor for us. So our position is more like what position is the adapter on our data source. It's telling you, okay, the adapter is pointing to this very index in your data source. So now, what you're now doing is this. We're then trying to get the current position. I want to tell you the difference between this position and adapter position. Adapter position can be different from position itself. So I won't advise you to use this position. Although most times they are almost always true, but not necessarily telling you the position in the data source. This position is for the view holders, that is the position of view holder. So by assumption, we can say the maximum that this position, the maximum value that this position can have is 9. And I will tell you why. Because this our screen, this our Android phone can only have 9 view holders at a go. So if, for example, your chart list grows to like 30, position will give you a false value at that point. That's the reason why you need to use your adapter position every time. This position is dependent on the number of view holders that can be contained on your view on your Android phone at a time. But this adapter position will always tell you the current position that the adapter is on your data source. So this current position, which I assign the value to, and don't forget, you can always get the adapter position via your holder, and this is the holder, that is the view holder class. We always do a good work of doing what? Of telling you the position you have on your data source. So I assign that value to current position, and it's a good way for me to get the corresponding data that I will bind to my view with this current position. So that current position now, I now passed it to a function get on my data source. And what I'm trying to do is just to get the current chart. That is the very chart I want to bind to my data, to my view holder rather. And don't forget, this chart list is your what? Is your data source. All right. So now how do I then bind data to the inflated view holder? So there's a function I declared inside our view holder class, that is the view holder class. I called it bind data. So for the sake of simplicity, it's always good to let, or for cleanliness, and for you to have single responsibility for your, okay, so that's what we call solid principle. You may want to read up on that solid principle so that you have one class doing one thing. That's why we want to delegate the binding of data to our view order. We can do that here. We can do that here, and it's that simple. Is it not just for you to just say order dots? Okay, it's like we didn't allow that to be out because these guys are called private. So now let's say they are not private. Let's say they are not private. So you can access those guys here. Order dots. Okay, I'm coming. Order. Okay, I'm coming. Let me show you something. Okay, if you made this public instead of private, let's make them public. Sorry, I was going the Kotlin way. That's why I was expecting it. In Kotlin, you necessarily don't put public before you can access it. So yeah, you can see all those guys are here. The time, you can just say time dot set text and just call the current item dot get time. You can do it this way, but this function will be getting unnecessarily long. And when you have many views to set, this will get unnecessarily long. So why not just delegate these tasks to your view order? So that's why I'm using our view order to do that. So let me change this to private. So now that function, now we've used our current position to get the current item, that is the current chart we want to bind to our view order. Then I just pass that current item, I just passed it to a function of a function inside our view order class, and I call it bind data. I declared it, not that it's part of the class, so I declared it. And what will that bind data do? Bind data will only set your view, do everything, blah blah blah. Okay, pick this chart, try to set the name or try to set the message, try to set the time, so it tries to check. These other ones, I will explain it to you later. I just try to make something more relatable. That's why, because you can see that there are some view orders that still have these message counts. That is when it has not been read. You have some that are read, blah blah blah. Some are not read, some are read. So these are the functions. These are the if else condition that does it. Okay, if it is read, set the count to invisible. You can see these ones that have been read, they set to invisible. And when it has been read, you don't need to set the time as gray. Okay, remove the color, set it back to a particular color, set it back to gray. And if it has not been read, make the count visible, set the item count, then set the color to this green. Basically, so you can always relate to that, and I can always get that. And there is what I call message type. And don't forget, on WhatsApp you have different message type. You have your sticker, you have your image, you have the audio, you have the text, you have the video, blah blah blah. So this is where I'm managing them. So I have different message type. I just try to model something for you so that you can relate to it, because you use WhatsApp and you know what happens. So now let me just go to different message type that I created. I said there can be image, there can be a message type text, there can be an image type, image, audio, video. And if you want to take yours to another length, you can say there's a message type called sticker. You know, there's a sticker in you can send a sticker message to someone. So now you can just say .id and something like this. You're free, you can move on. I'll just try to model something simple for you. That's why. And I then said for this message, the icon should be a camera. For this audio, the icon should be the voice icon and all. I declare this to make things to be easy. And that's why when you see this camera, you know that, okay, this is a message, this is an image message. When you see this microphone, this mic, you say, oh yeah, this is a voice note or something. So that's how I just try to model that. I'm sure when you're going through the code base, you'll be able to relate to this. So that's pretty what it does for you. And here you can see the one with group, you have like the group icon. The one for single person, you have just one person, single person. And also this is where I try to manage that. All right, so if it is a group, if the chat is a group chat, use this icon. If it is not, use this icon. You understand? And if the person has a image URL, use Picasso. I'm sure you might have heard about Picasso, Glide, and all. So those are just the libraries that helps you to set an image that has URL on your image view. So that's just a library. You don't necessarily have to do that. So Picasso and how we do that for you, and that's what I'm using here. I mean, so you're cool with that. So that's pretty much your chart view order does. And I'm sure we've been able to dissect basic things you need to do for you to set up your recycler view. So without taking much of our time, okay, let me ask questions. Is there any question before we move forward? So I can quickly answer that before we move to other things that will make your UI looks pretty to people, click actions and all. Is there any question before we move forward?
Sorry, can you please go over those your icons again? How you were able to? Because I saw video, I saw image. I mean, I saw video, I saw mic.
All right. Okay. So let's settle this once and for all. So on WhatsApp, you can send him as video. You can right? Am I right?
Yes. Sorry, no, not this part. I got this part. Hello, sorry, Larry. It's not this part. I actually got this part. Was previous one before this one?
Yes, I will go there. Okay, I just want to set to that. So you know that you can send a message as text, you can send a message which is video, you can send a message which is an image and all, voice note and all. So I just try to model it. So as a developer, what you need to do most is to model real world things. As in something in real world, you need to use a Java object to model it. So that's the essence. So my way of modeling each of these messages is just to use an enum class to model each of those message types. You can see message types. That's the name of that enum.
Okay.
I'm just saying, okay, I can have a message type text, I can have a message type image, I can have a message type audio, I can have a message type video. That's basically what I did there. So I just tried to model it, and I made mention of something that, okay, you can send sticker as well, that you can even add your own sticker. You can add sticker message type here. I just listed the type of messages that you can have from WhatsApp just to show you how I set each of these. You can see that's why I have camera here, I have mic here, and I have plain text here, and I have video here. So basically I use all this message type to just differentiate. I'm coming, so maybe something like this sticker. Obviously this is not the icon for sticker, just to have something to work with. These are different message types. So I just try to use it here in a simple way. In the sense that, okay, which of the icon am I setting here? So basically I just used it here. So I want you to get something. I'm looking for a way to make it simple. This message is a view. This message is a text view. As you all know, is a text view. Now, so inside text view, there is something we call drawable padding. Drawable. Okay, yeah, I did something like that here. See this is the view. If I take out this line, mind you have a camera here. See this preview? Can you see this preview? You have the camera icon here. So I was able to set the camera icon on this text view using this line that I highlighted. So if I delete it, can you see that camera again? You can see it again. So now let's go back. If you want to do something like this, add like an icon to your text view, you can use this line, which is drawable start. And if you don't want it to be positioned there, you have something called drawable end. This is one, and you can see where it's standing. You can see it has gone to the end, but WhatsApp uses drawable start. So let's go to start. So drawable start. So now this same thing that you can do with your XML, you can do it in the code. So this simple thing that I did here is what I was trying to achieve by doing this. And if you want to set that drawable icon that I showed you, you have to use this. function, set compound drawable with intrinsic band. So now what you now need to specify is if it will be at the left, you know this guy is at the left, then you have to pass in the icon type. Don't forget, inside this message type, there is a property called icon ID, which is the icon for each of those message type. I specified it here. It's just like a reference to a particular drawable. I will need it. That's why I put it here so that it will be the property of this message type. So let us go to our view holder. Now see this. The message type is message type text. Message type text does not have any drawable here. So I don't need it. Either left, either top, either right, either bottom. I passed null to them. That way, it won't put anything. Null will not put anything inside what? Beside this text view. So that's why I set it to null. But other message types, they have their own icon. You can see if it is not text, meaning it can be an image, it can be an audio, it can be a video. So if you come to your view order here, you have to set this property on it. And when you are setting that property, you know it's always at the left. That's why I'm passing this function to the left. And I'm getting that icon, the icon ID that I showed you, this icon ID, that's what I'm trying to get. You know, it's a property of this enum class, which is message type, and this get icon ID. This get icon ID is returning to what to me? It's returning this to me. So let me tell you something about the enum class. See this. Enum class 2 is a typical class like your normal class in Java when you are doing other things, blah, blah, blah. So this is the constructor of the enum class. So see these declarations as each of them as an object that is calling the constructor. You can see I'm passing this icon ID to this. I'm basically calling the constructor. This is how you call the constructor for enum class. So this icon ID, that's what I'm passing here, this icon ID. And when you click on this guy, where did it come to? It came to this constructor. When you click on image, it comes to this constructor, which means you are basically instantiating something by doing this. So I'm just listing this and just instantiating this class. So this instantiation goes to this constructor, and this constructor, what does it do? It sets this icon ID. The icon ID here sets the icon ID, and it assigns the value I pass to it. It sends it here, and when I call get icon ID, what it does is the value that was set in this constructor, it just return it back to me. And that get icon ID is now what I was using here. See, that's dot get message type. If you see get message type, I'm feeling like I'm giving you more information that may look confusing to you, but
I'm actually getting it. I understand.
You are getting it. Okay, yes, what about other people? What about other people? Are you getting it as well?
Yes, you understand.
Okay, you're understanding it. That's good. So I'm happy about that. All right. So that message ID, that message type returns this. Message type returns this enum class. You can see it returns this enum class. And if I have this enum class, I will be able to access the property get icon ID. See, get icon ID, which returns this icon to me. So once it has set that to me, so I'm putting it inside the start. You can see. You can put it inside the start. This very one, you can see this is the drawable start. So I don't need it at the top. That's why I'm passing 0. I don't need it at the right, passing 0. That's why I'm passing it here, right to it. So now imagine if I want to put this guy at the right, I will pass 0 to this place, and this declaration that I made, I will have to put it here. So these guys are just to specify the position. So we need that drawable on the left. That's why I put it here. So yeah, once you visit the code base, it'll be clearer to you when you sit with it. When you sit with the code base and try to navigate through it. And I'll share in the slide I will share with you, or that has been shared with you, you will see the link to that repository. Clone it, and obviously you are doing an assignment for me, so you don't have any option than to clone the repository. All right, so is there any other question before I show you all that is? Is there any question? Hello, are you with me?
Yeah, we are with you.
All right, is there any question before we move forward?
No question.
All right. So let me take you through other things that we need to do. All right, so I want to show you how we can animate each of these items. Although I've actually cleared off the build on this emulator, I would have showed you now. All right, so for a quick explanation, let me just quickly build this and see what I'm talking about, and I explain how I did it. So come here. Can you see? But it's actually fast. See the way those view came in. You can see they were animated. See, can you see the way they came in? Can you see the way they came in? So because these ones were not animating because they are still on the screen. That's why they are not animating. So basically, it's when the view is recycled, the view was created afresh. That's when we are applying this animation to them. So if you want to apply it on other cases as well, I mean, feel free. You can always do that. You can always check the code and change things. But I'm only animating these child views when I create the view order fresh or when the view order is recycled, and I will show you how and why. So this one, you can see only views that are created, they were animated, but they were very, very fast. That's why you couldn't see it. Okay, so but I can always do something for you to be able to see it. If I'm not mistaken, I should be able to show you. Okay. All right, it's fine. Don't let us waste time on that because it's just needless. So you see, when these new views, when they were being created, they were animated because they were just recycled rather. When they were recycled, they were animated. Now, if you still scroll up, there's a particular view that would have been recycled for the item at 0. Let's scroll up. You can see this one was animated because it was recycled for someone else. So let me show you how I got that done. That's why I said let us delegate working on view items. Let us delegate it to our view order. It's better we do it that way so as to make life to be easy. Now see, the function that does that is just this set animation function. Set animation function. So what it does is this. If all right, so there is a particular utility class. That's what you just try to animate. This is the utility function. This is the utility function. So I did this for set animation. When you do the binding of data, immediately after binding the data, animate this item view. Don't forget the so the item view is actually a protected function. It's a protected function. I'm coming. I want to show you this item view. So this item view, you can see, is a public function, and it's inside the view. It's inside the view order class. Is a public function. So I was able to access it because it's a super class to this our chart view order class. So that's how I was able to access that item view. And don't forget, you set that function here when you called the super class constructor and you pass the item view. So immediately you call the super constructor, this item view was set. So that's what makes it very pretty for us to just call it anywhere in our code. So now we are basically animating the view order that we set, that we inflated, rather the one that we sent, the one we sent from this chart adapter. Hope you've not forgotten the one we created here, and the one we sent, and we have it in the view order, and that item view is what we are animating. So how do you animate? It's simple. Just a simple example that I put here for you. Get an animation object. You can see animation object. This is an animation object. Get this animation object by calling load animation. By calling load animation on class animation util. This one is a property for you inside. Android has done that for you, so you can see that it's inside the what? The SDK, Android SDK. So it's an inbuilt class for you. It's inside the SDK. So I just called that to help it to turn an animation XML into an animation object. The same way you turn a view XML into a view object, same way we are turning an animation XML into what? Into an animation object. So now I used the predefined. Android has some predefined function, some predefined XML for you. So now if you come here, slide in left, you can see this has been declared for you inside one XML, and don't forget it's still inside the SDK. You can see it's inside the SDK. So this has been predefined for you. So I just try to use it. So you too, the same way Android did this one for you for sample, you too, you can declare your own and just use and just research more on it and different ways animation can go. And if your own is sliding from right, you can always define it. But the good news is just that once you declare the XML like this, you can use this function, animation utils.load animation, to turn the XML into an animation. So now each of any view, you can see this item view has class what? As our type view. So any object of type view or any superclass, any subclass of class view has a function called start animation. Start animation. And don't forget, any view at all, talk about text view, image view, blah, 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 they have the base class called view in Android. So that's their parent class, and that means any view can be animated. If view has this property, any other class that extends class view will always animate. All right, now, so let's click on this start animation. Start animation is under where? It's under the view class. You can see start animation is under the view class, and only thing you need to pass to it is just this animation object, and it will do what? To animate it for you. So that's the simple logic that I used there. So this is view. You can see this is a view class, and text view extends this view. Image view extend this view. This is the root for everything, which means you can animate your image, you can animate your text view, you can talk about anything that extends view. I mean, you will do a good work of researching that out. And let us just trace the genealogy of text view. So let's trace this text view. It is inbuilt. This is text view. What does it extend? It extends what? The view class, which means we can always animate what? We can always animate text view. All right, so let's look for image view as well. Image view, let's go for image view. Do we have it around? Okay, our ball is not around, but let us go to our XML and pick it out. Okay, yeah, sorry. So, okay, we can always get image view here. So this is image view, right? Image view, it extends what? It extends class view. So you can always animate an image as well. Talk about any other views that are subclasses of views. You can always animate them. So that's how I got the animation done. All right, so this is possible when you bind data. But now I then put this something that when the view as well is recycled, say when a view is recycled, this guy is recycled, that's why it's still animated. So this one too is recycled, that's why it's animated. This one recycled is animated. So how did I get that one done? So let us go back to our adapter. Don't forget that our adapter is the one that does the work of recycling the view that you can see. The view that is recycled will be passed to this function on view recycled. And you see, it's returning a recycled chat view that is returning it to you. So now I'm just calling a function on that order, which is set animation, right? The set animation, and that set animation, don't forget to declare it here. So I'm just using that to fire. I'm just using the view that to call a function on itself, and that's one of the benefits of having anything that has to do with your view in your view holder. Do it in your view holder. Take for instance, now I told you that you can bind our data inside our unbind view holder, right? I told you that. So now take for instance, if you now did the animation, blah, 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 you now do it inside your unbind view holder. How will you be able to call unbind view holder in this situation? Don't forget, at this instance, you only have view holder. Do you have position? It doesn't tell you the position. So you may not be able to call this function from here. So that's one of the benefits of doing anything relating to view, setting your animation and all. That's one of the benefits of doing it inside your view order. Any question about animating item view in your recycler view? Is there any question? I need a response to be sure. Is there any question?
No.
All right, good. So let's go to click actions, and I will tell you how each of these items. All right. So I will show you how each of these item view can respond to click. So now consider your chart, the chat screen of your WhatsApp. When you click on each of these items, if I click on item for Okeolatoye, it must not give me detail about princess. If I click on item with princess, it must not give me detail about anything on Sultan SGA. So how can you get that one done? So it's simple. What you just need to do is to tell your adapter, anytime there is a click action on the item view, I want you to tell me so that I can do some operations. But how can you tell your adapter that? That's where interface comes into the scene. So I'm sure you might have heard something about interface. So interface is a good exchanger of actions. Take, for instance, you have your set on click listener. Set on click listener is an interface which you have to implement. So let me quickly show you that. Set on click listener. So on click listener. Okay, on click listener. On click listener, I'm coming. Okay, if you can't see it here, I know where else we can see it. So it cannot hide from us. I want to look at where I used on click listener. And get it. On click listener. Something is done, an action is performed. I know I'm using this example because I know you're familiar with it. So let's go to on click listener. On click listener, you can see this is what? This is an interface. This is an interface. You see, this is an interface that you are implementing. And when you are doing this, you always do something for on click. It's inside on click that you do the operation that you perform when you click on something. And I will show you how you used to do it. So let's quickly go to our main activity and see that. You can see this guy is collapsed. You see, set on click listener. You're doing what? New view on click listener. You are implementing it. Let me use this example to tell you what we mean by anonymous class. This is an anonymous class in the sense that you just declare it, you just implement a particular interface, quickly implement it inside your code, and now doing that inside the function. This is an anonymous class. This is an anonymous class. And why do I say it's an anonymous class? I just try and implement something very fast. And don't forget, I can always take this guy out and assign it to a variable. So that's outside the scope of this class. I don't want to digress. So now, this is an interface which we help you to undo click action. And what did you do? You implemented what? This function called onClick. This function called onClick. So now that onClick, you want it to do this operation for you. Am I right? So that's good. The same thing we will do to exchange communication or to exchange correspondence between your adapter and your activity. Let us declare our own interface as well. Let's just follow the example of this on click listener. So how can we get that one done? So inside our chat adapter, sorry, let me close everything. Inside our chat, inside the chat adapter, it's an interface I declare it as well. You can see it's called on chat item click listener. So this on chat item click listener is an interface which has a function on click. So when an item is clicked, I want this function to be fired. So, and I will show you how that is done. All right, so let's go here. The constructor for our chat adapter, when we are declaring it, don't forget it's on chat item click listener. We are sending an implementation of this on chat item click listener, we are sending it to this our constructor. And once we do that, inside our constructor, we do what? We assign the listener object, we assign it to our click listener. You can see this is our click listener. You can see this click listener. You can see it. Amazing. So once you do that, you have an object of this class, this interface. No, it has been implemented, so it's more like a class. So an implemented interface is a class. Make that a rule. An implemented interface is a class object. An implemented interface is an object of a particular class. Of a particular class. So once you do that, and you pass it to this, our constructor. Oh, cool. Then you then have an object. And don't forget, a function inside this interface that has been implemented is on click. So with this object here, you can always access the click function that you declared inside of it. So now, when we instantiated this our chat adapter inside our activity, you did it inside this activity, right? Can you still remember this guy that I told you that I will talk about later? You can see the description here. The description here is a listener. So I passed this reference to it. And how did I do that? So what I did is this. This class, this means a reference to this activity, right? I'm sure you know that. So this is a reference to this class, to this activity. And this class extends app compatibility activity because it's an activity. Item, this our activity is implementing it. And let's do something. Take this out. You can see that I now have an error. So let's go to that error. You can see the click, this function, which is an interface function, because our activity is implementing that interface, then we are overriding that on click function. So let's go back to this and just implement this. So you implementing it and passing this reference because this activity is implementing this on chat item click listener. Then you can pass this to this chat adapter and it will always reference this on chat item click listener. Is anybody lost? Did you get that explanation? I need a response. Did everybody get that explanation? All right, good. So because we now have access to that on-click listener here, then we can use this on-click listener as we want. So the best place for you to do on-click is where I commented out here. So let us uncomment this. After uncommenting this, then don't forget that this item view, holder.item view, this holder, don't forget you have access to item view via this holder. So this holder.item view, the item view is the entire view that you are seeing here. This entire view, that's the item view. A view holder, you can call it an item view because the view inside a view holder is the item view, and that view is what you inflated here and you pass to this chat adapter. So this is the item view. This view that you pass to this view that is the item view. So we can always reference that item view in this using this holder. So you then say holder.item view. So each of this holder has item view is an item view, and you set click action on each of them. So once you do that, you then set on click listener on this view so that when you click on it, this thing is done. So instead of performing an action, the click listener instance that we have here, the click listener that we have here, we are just simply calling our on click. And if I click on this on click, function, where does it come? It's coming to the on chat item click listener. So once an item view is clicked, this function is fired. And I will show you how now. All right, so let's put a breakpoint here. Let's run this. Let's review this so that I can see what I'm talking about. So when you click on any of those item view, just because you set on click listener on this, it will always come to this place and perform the action that you tell it to do here. So let's click on this. So let's click on any item view. Let's click on this Okolatoye. Where is it coming from? Where is it coming to? It's coming to this your on-click action, right? Brilliant. So we are good about that. Don't forget we clicked on Okolatoye. We clicked on Okolatoye. See the position that is giving us. Okolatoye is on position 0. You can see position 0. So let us see the current item. The current item is what? Let's expand this. So the current item is Okolatoye. The message is Okolatoye, hi, something. You can see the same thing you can see here. So we ensure that where we click is where is sending his details for us. So now let me allow this. Okay, let me allow this to go. All right, so click action. So it means the implementation of this on click will be fired. When you click on any of these guys, the implementation of this will be fired. So don't forget who passed this listener object to this chat adapter. This guy passed it. And in correspondence, this boy will be called anytime a click action is done. So you will need to read more about that if you really didn't get it. So let me just show you that is calling this very function. All right, so let me click on princess. When you clicked on princess, it comes to the on-click our function here. So let's move on. Where is it coming to? It's coming to the on-click inside this activity. And this same activity is the one that passed this reference to the chat adapter. So it always come to this implementation on click. So inside this on click, you can perform anything you want to perform. So what I just did is just to simulate something for you. When you click on a particular chat on WhatsApp, once you click on it, that message counts will disappear. So the same thing I'm doing for you here, just say mark chat as read. So if you mark chat as read, don't forget to click on princess, see what happens. Princess has message count on it, and this time is green. So let's see what happens. So click on it. You can see princess no longer have message count, because when you click on it, the operation we tells it to perform is to mark the chat as read. So when you mark the chat as read, what we declare inside is this. It's just to do what? Oh, okay, this is a whole lot of word on its own, and we are coming to this. So let us just keep it simple for now, that when you click on an item, we just want it to be marked as read. Just mark it as read. When you click on sorry about that. When you click on any item, you just want you to mark it as read. So mark as read, to mark it as read, mark this one too as read, princess, mark it as read. You can see it's pretty simple. So did everybody get how to handle click actions on our recycler view when you click on each of those items, each of those child view? Did everybody get that?
Yes.
All right, amazing. What about other people? Did you get that? I just want to be sure before we move forward. Did you get that?
I got some parts of it. I didn't get some parts.
Okay, so
I'll work on the other parts I didn't get.
All right. So once you have the code with you, so you'll be able to click on different places, and you will be able to see what I did there. So I want to quickly take us to swipe action. I told you then that if you're chatting with someone on WhatsApp, if you swipe to left, what happens is the chat that you swipe to left is being quoted for you to add your own message. So the same thing, I want to show you how it's being done here. So how do you handle a swipe action? A swipe action is just implementing one funny guy here, and it's called item touch helper. So let me unleash this guy for you. All right, let's open it up. Amazing. So this is one bogus function like that. Let me isolate it so that you can see it very well. So this is the function that you just need that you just need to implement for you to do that. And once you do that, then you call attach function on that object. You call attach function on that object. All right, so let me just quickly use that opportunity to explain an anonymous class to you. See, this guy is an anonymous guy. He's an anonymous class. You are simply doing something and you are implementing. Okay, this guy, don't let me make the mistake. This guy is an anonymous class because you are simply implementing what you are implementing an interface just within somewhere without making a reference to it, without having a reference to it. So if you click on this simple callback, okay, I'm coming. You click on this touch helper. So this touch helper, you can see implements what? Implements this interface. And what's the interface? This interface functions. So you too, you need to do what? You need to implement some functions inside that interface. And these are the two functions. They are on move. Yeah, show us. Okay, show us. You can see this is the interface. It's just so much. I don't want to be bothering you with it, but you can see it's an abstract class. So you need to implement it for you to have it. So it's an anonymous class. This is an anonymous class. So what do I mean by anonymous class? It's just one class like that you try to implement without assigning a reference to it. So let's quickly assign a reference to it. Cut it. Let's say, let's call this. Yep. Let's call it the callback equals to this callback. Then let us create it as local. Can you see this? It's no longer an anonymous class because you now assign it to a particular reference, and that reference is called what? And that reference is called callback. Did you get that? That reference is called callback. So this callback, you can pass it to this method, to this constructor. Does it work? It still works. But to make things easy, let's just use it as that anonymous. I think I'm able to tell you something and show you what an anonymous class means and something. Yeah, so I'm sure I've been able to do justice to that. All right, so we've done that. Let's go back to how we were. So this is how we were. So when you swipe to left or right, this function is called. When you swipe, maybe your okay. I feel like showing you. Oh, do I have this? I feel like showing you and making this. Oh, I can't recover the change. Sorry about that. I couldn't recover the change. So I would have loved to show you and make it more explicit or something. So let me just do that clean work here. So let me call it callback, so that it will be clear to you. It looks somehow to you the way I'm saying it. It looks somehow to you. So let's get this. All right. So, and I don't want to do this too. I just combined like 3 statements. I just combined it into one. That's what I did. So it may not be that clear to you. So let me just open it up. All right. So let's call it touch. Let's call this touch helper. Touch helper. All right. So pretty simple. So that's, you can see everything that we nested into one place. I just try as much as possible to just open it up so that it doesn't look confusing to you. So what you basically did is we implemented one interface like that. And when we implemented that interface, we don't make it an anonymous, we assign it to a reference. So that reference is now what we pass to our touch helper constructor. That touch helper constructor, you can see this is a constructor. that will pass that callback. You can see the callback, we pass it to it. So that constructor is what we declare here. And that object of that constructor, we then want to attach the recycler view on which child we want to swipe. So now that touch has a function called attached to recycler view. Which recycler view? Our chart recycler view. So when you do any swipe, this function will be called on this callback. So let us quickly do that so that you can see. So now when you then swipe, what I just did is when you swipe, remove that child. That's what I just did. Just remove that child. So let us undo it in the box. I will show you later. Let us just undo it in the box. Just know that it's just to remove a particular chart. To remove a chart on your recycler view, and everything will be okay. And then it will basically show you a toast. So let me just quickly show you that. All right. So let us attach our debugger so you can know that it's coming to this place. All right. By swiping, you can swipe to the left or you swipe to the right. So this Okolatoi, let us swipe it. Let us swipe this. Can you see? Can you see that? Let us swipe it. You see, when I swiped it, it's called this function, which is on swiped. It's called this function. You can see it's called this function. Then it will execute everything that is here. So what I just try to do is to post the message and show you what is being removed, and then completely remove it. All right, so let us release it. Can you see? Okwe Olatoyi has been removed. Can you see that? Okwe Olatoyi was at the top before, right? Yeah, you can't see it again because you've removed it. And that's what this line of code does for you. Remove chart, remove chart, remove chart. I will show you that later. I will show you all these functions later very soon because we are even rounding off already. So that is how to undo it. If you swipe to the left, if you swipe to the right, the same thing. You see, princess has been removed. Swipe this one as well. You can see, swipe this one. Swipe this one. Can you see? Left or right. So you can see, it tells you that action has been done. Although for WhatsApp, it doesn't remove it. And don't forget, you don't necessarily have to remove it. We are just expressly stating that it should be removed. What we want to use our swipe action for is to remove that very chart from our list. I mean, maybe I should just recommend that to WhatsApp. Maybe they can accept that feature part. And just, if you want to remove someone from your chat, you just swipe to left or you swipe to right, and that person is removed. Or your, yeah, I mean, it's a nice feature. We can recommend it to WhatsApp. All right, so that's on the lighter mode. And our swipe action, we just want to remove the chart, remove the person from the list. That's what we did. And that's what we stated there expressly. For WhatsApp, they try to use it to quote a particular post. That's what WhatsApp is using it for. But either removing or either quoting, you know how it is being implemented. And that's super great that you know how that one is being done. So you can read more on this because our time is fast spent. And now changing data dynamically on our recycler view. So that's what we've been doing partly. All those I will tell you later, I will explain to you later. All these remove charts, remove chart art, all these markers red. I will show you how I did that under the hood. So what I was doing basically is just to manipulate the data source. What we just did is just to manipulate the data source of the data source that the adapter, that's the recycler view adapter, is dependent on. Don't forget, recycler view communicates to the adapter communicates to the data source. So what we are basically doing is we are modifying the data source that is powering the adapter, and then we call a particular function to make the UI change. That's what we're doing. So this whole thing that you're saying, the whole gymnastics you are saying, okay, you remove chart, you mark as red. What we're doing is we are modifying the data set, that is the data source. Then we are calling a particular function to effect that change on the UI, which is the recycler view. So let's go under the hood and see what is happening. All right. So what I just did is pretty simple. These are the functions. The function, you can remember I collapsed all these functions earlier. So it's time for us to expand them. So let's collapse others. Those ones that we've explained, that we've talked about, let's collapse them. Then let us bring in these are our friends. So you can see this. So these are the functions. Add more charts means add a particular chart to this list. Let's expand this. See, what I'm doing is this, the new chart. Assuming I want to add more charts to our list, this list, assuming I want to add more chart dynamically, what I just need to do is to use this adapter reference. You can see this adapter reference, use it to call any of these functions to perform an action, and I will show you one or more of it. So now this chart reference is a good guy because it's useful for us. That's what you use to communicate between the activity and the chart adapter. So it's very instrumental for us. So you need to hold that reference to this chart adapter, then you use it to call all these public functions, So now to demonstrate dynamically adding, removing, blah, blah, blah. That's why we have these fine guys, these fine buttons, and I call them our floating action buttons. So this one, we do the good work of helping us to move a particular view order to a new position, basically to the top. This one will help us to move this a particular chart at a very position to the bottom. This will help us to remove a particular chart at a position, and this one will help us to add a new chart. And by charts, I'm talking about chart. This is a chart. This is a view order for chart. That's what I'm referencing. I'm calling chart. So we will use these buttons, these floating action buttons. We will use them to perform this operation, and each of them is what is calling one of these functions. So as you perform those operations, I will explain how it's been done. All right, guys, here we go. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to move a particular chart. So I did something. I want to show you something, the position that I'm using. So basically I'm using position 2, and I think I define it somewhere. All right, so this are fab, like I told you, these are floating action button. And the first one is to add, the first one is to remove, the first one is to move up, the first one is to move down. And don't forget, this floating action button, they are the ones that I did here. Don't forget, these are the floating action buttons, the ones you are seeing this for. They are the ones that you are seeing here. So basically, I declared them in my XML. So I'm just calling them by reference and set on click listening on them. So now you see, I just make a reference to the hard fab button. Then I set on click listener on it. And what I'm trying to do is just to add this guy and to call a function inside the chart adapter, then do some manipulations. They do some manipulations and we are fine. So the first one we should go for is how to add a new chart. So pay close attention. When I click on this add button, it will add a new chart. So watch my emulator. Can you see? Just added. I just added this chart view now. So this chart just added. So how did you achieve it? So this hard floating action button, hard. So let's go to hard. This is hard. Floating action button. What should it do? We are saying insert new chart. That is the function we are calling insert new chart. At what position? At position 2. Don't forget to declare this position 2. So where can you see that chart now? Position what? 0, 1, 2. Position 2 is because I declared this statically. It's just for the sake of example. I just declared this statically. So insert new chart into position 2, and just did it. Position 2. So see what happens when you click on that button. It just insert chart to new position. And where are we getting the chart object? All the data that you are using, it's inside the data factory. They are static data. You can see these are static data. I just declared them, and you see I just declared them. So this is this function will return to me a chart object. Return a chart object just added, blah blah blah. All this declaration is an object. It returns that object to me, and that object is what I'm sending to my chart adapter. So let us go inside this, insert new chart data. Insert new chart data is taken in position and that chart object. Don't forget your data source, which is the chart list, is the list of what? Is a list of charts. Please don't forget, it's a list of charts. So it's only charts that you can use to manipulate all these guys. So now this function is called when you click on your hard button. Now I try and just do some check. It's necessary for you to do check as Android developer. What I'm just trying to do is to see if the position that's been sent to me is a good position, like a good position in the sense that is a valid position. That's what I used today. So it's just to check if it's a valid position. If it's not a valid position, I don't disturb myself about that. I mean, you can check out this guy. And what happens? The chart that you sent to this place, this chart, we are inserting. And I told you that this operation, we are basically manipulating the data source. So what did we do? The chart list, we simply call the function hard on it. We're saying add this chart to this position, add this chart to our data source at position 2, add this chart to our data source, which is the chart list, at position 2. So at that point, we've modified the data source. We've modified the data source. And in that situation, we've added the new chart to our data source. That means our data source now has one more chart extra. All right, one more chart extra. We've added this to the list at this point. We've added it to the chart. So how are we then telling the recycler view that, something has been added to the new chart, please adapt immediately. Please adapt immediately. There's a function inside the adapter. Don't forget that you are extending an adapter. So that function has been declared for you. So let me show you that function. Notify item removed. You see, notify item, it has been done for you, and it's inside RecyclerView adapter. It's inside RecyclerView adapter. So let us use the crumb bread here. You see, this is the function is inside RecyclerView and inside the adapter, and this is a very position that you are calling. Can you see? Item removed, blah blah blah. Item inserted, rather. This item inserted. You can see RecyclerView adapter, then notify adapter reach inserted. So that one has been done for you, just for you to call that. So all those guys, they are used to make changes. So let me quickly do something for you to be able to know that this is a function responsible for making the UI change. Let me comment it out. Let us run our code, and we will still click on this hard button and see if anything will happen. I will show you. Okay, come here. Don't forget, something should be added to position 2 after we've clicked this add button. Oh yeah, I want to click it. Ooh, something is added. Oh, sorry, we commented out a different one. I'm sorry. Okay. Insert. Okay, insert. Let us trace it from here. Okay, sorry. We actually commented out a different function. So it should be this that we should comment out. Let us try. All right. Yeah, cool. We are back. So we expect something to show you, but I want to demonstrate to you that without calling this function notify item inserted at the very position, you won't be able to see that UI change. And that tells you that this function is what does the UI change. So let us click on this plus button. Do you see anything added? Nothing is added. Can you see that? Nothing is added. And it's because you commented out this function that will help you to perform a UI change. Let me then demonstrate to you so that you can see that indeed our data source was actually modified, but this function that should tell us, that should tell the UI, that should tell the recycler view that something has been done is not called. I just want to show you that the item is added to our data source, but we can't see it on the UI because you commented out this part. So let me put a breakpoint here so that you can see. All right, so let's quickly do that. All right, attach a debugger. So I can know that something is added. Okay. All right. Let's go back. All right. Let's come here. Okay. So I've attached the debugger. Let me click on this plus button. Click on plus. You can see we are already here. Insert chart into position 2. Insert chart into position 2. So let's see if that is being added. So let's move down here. Move down. So now let us check our chart list. Can you see the chart list? Position 2 just added. Can you see that is actually added, but because you can see that that object was actually added to our chart list. You can see at position 2 where we told it to actually do the work. So position 2, insert this chart into position 2. So you can see the position 2 that it was indeed added, but because you commented out what should notify the UI, then nothing was seen on our UI on the recycler view. So that's actually the reason. So what I just succeeded in explaining to you is that these functions, you need to call them for you to have a UI change on your recycler view. All right, so I was able to explain one of them to you, but basically that's what other ones do as well. Talk about removing, you see, you just try to remove a particular chart at one position, then you notify. You can see this one too, moving charts, blah blah blah. Okay, you get a very chart. You remove a particular chart at a very position, and you insert another one because you want to move chart. So I may not have the time to explain this to you in detail, but I'm sure with this single one that I've explained to you, you'll be able to figure out the rest of them. So just see what other ones do. Okay, so hard. So let's. So, all right, sorry, please. Whose mic is on? Please, if your mic is on, you can please mute it. Olamide, please, you can mute your mic, please. Thank you. So let me just demonstrate all these buttons to you so I can see. You will find their examples. You will find it inside you will find it in the code base. So now when you click on hard, it adds a new item. So when you click on remove at this position 2, it will remove this item. You can see it remove the item. All right, so this up arrow, what it does is move the item at position 2 to the top of the list. The process was on position 2, it moved it to the top. And another one is, okay, move this arrow down is move the item at position 2. Okay, let's see what it does. This arrow move down. Okay, move chart from position 0 to position 1. So I'm expecting by the time we click on this to move process to where Olatoye is and move Olatoye to the top. So let's do that. You see, it's moved princess down and what moved Olatoye up. So these operations, I'm sure if you open the code base, you will see it in your code base. So that's pretty amazing. So don't let us, we've really wasted more time on this, and I will only just tell you the difference between this single item and multiple chart item, although I know the time is not sufficient, but let's just quickly rush through it. So it's no more difference. The things you can do with single list item recycler view, the same thing you can do with multiple recycler view, multiple layout item recycler view, the same thing you can do with it, just that you just need some caution somehow to help you to know when to inflate which. So, and that's what I will quickly just show you there. And the only difference is just inside your adapter. So for this one, this is the status. This is the status page, and the adapter is where the whole work is done. So I will just go to the adapter straight off, which is the status adapter, which is the status adapter. So the only difference, what I've been explaining to you since morning, the same thing you can do for multiple item linear layout, recycler view, rather multiple layout item recycler view, the same thing you can do for it, but the difference is just how you inflate the views. So now let me just quickly explain that under 10 minutes and we are as good as done. There is one more function that you can implement when you are working on your adapter. I explained to you how on create view holder works, how on bind view holder works, and how get item counts, how they work. So there is one more function that is optional. It is called get item view type. Get item view type is very, very important because it has this function called position. This function called position. So by default, or by the way of explaining RecyclerView, this is position 0. This my status is position 0. This header recent update is position 1. This dark load is position 2. Is position 2. Where you have this awal is position 3. On and on and on and on and on. So these are just different layouts inflated in different positions. Different layouts inflated in different positions. Taiwo, please, can you mute your mic? Taiwo, please mute your mic. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so these are just position based. Now, what we try to do is just to know what position to inflate what layout. Know which position to inflate what layout. Now, for position 0, we want to inflate the user's status, which is my status. We want to inflate the user status, which is my status. At position 1, we want to inflate the header, which is this. We want to inflate the header, which is this. And at position blah, 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 we want to inflate. At position 3, we want to inflate recent statuses, like the status of other people. Now, I will show you how that is being modeled. All right, cool. So now, when you are coming to this screen, we use something called status data. Everything about status is inside the status data. Let us go inside status data. All right. So status data has property. These properties: property, user status list, recent status list, viewed status list, muted status list. You can see you have the user status, recent update, you have the viewed update, and you have what? The muted update as well. Each of them are in a list. Each of those statuses are in different lists. You can see they are in different lists. And this is what is powering our adapter. Our adapter is being powered by 4 different lists. And these are these guys are really generating for me. This is the data factory. I told you that we are using static data. If you go inside, this is the user status, returning a list of user. You can see that's why you have this my status. Yesterday 7:45. These are declared statically, and recent statuses is returning a list of what? Returning a list of these. You can see that's why you have this returning this list, and then viewed statuses returning this. They are all static data, but these things you can feed them from the API. Just because we don't, it's beyond the scope of this class. That's why we are doing this and using static data. These guys can be gotten from the server, from the API. So now that is that. So now this is the status data, and which has this list. That's what we have inside the status data, and that status data is not what we have inside our adapter. Now, what we want to do is this list, this RecyclerView, the only thing that is different here from what we've been explaining is that at just some positions, we have headers. So the recent update header comes immediately after the list of users data, users status rather. The viewed update comes immediately after you've shown the recent update, and muted update comes immediately after you showed the list of viewed updates, recent updates, and user status. So we need to keep track of the position of all these headers because they are like the black sheep, like the new view that is different from the flow. Normally, it should be like a complete list of status, but to make life easier and to make things looks good. To make things looks good, that's why we are demarcating each of these statuses so that I can know which and what. I mean, it's good for the UI. So now we need to know the position of each of these headers. Now, the recent update header position, by default, we initiate it to instantiate to 0. The viewed update we instantiated to 0. The muted update we instantiated it to 0. But we need to get all those. So what I now did is, at the point of instantiating the status data, what I did is to set the position of each of those headers where they will be on our recycler view. So let us go inside. Set position index is a function. So now, this may look funny to you, but if I explain it, you will get it very well. You will get it very well. So look at it. Look at this. We said recent update header position will always come immediately after, will be at the position after showing the user status data, which means for this, our user status data has just only one item, right? It has just only one item. So, okay, let me just show you. Let me make assumption that you know. All right, so user status, get user status. User status, is user status. So how many items is it inside? We have just only what? We have just only one item, which means the size of that list is 1, right? All right, so let's go back to our adapter so that I can see the mathematics that I did here. This is just where you need, it's just for you to be able to manage position. Once you can manage position, you will be able to handle multiple layout item recycler view. So now you want this recent update header to come immediately after the list of user status. Then that means it will be at position this size. You know, list is 0 index, from 0 to size -1, right? Same thing, our recycler view, having it in mind that the index is from 0 to particular position -x. So now status data dot get user status list dot size, that is the size of our user status list. What is the size? It is 1, right? That means our recent update header position will be at position 1. And let us go back to our recycler view and count it. Immediately after showing the list of users status, this is position 0. This recent update is at position what? Position 1. And you see, this will give us what? This will give us position what? Position 1. Now, for you, let us determine the position of viewed update header. Viewed update header, we can only get it, okay, after you've shown the status list, then you have to show the recent header, then show the list of recent update statuses, then show our view update. So how can we get this position? It is very simple. Don't forget that our recent update header position, we've gotten it. That means we know position from here. So how can we get to this place? It's just by simply adding the size of recent status list. The size of recent status list. So if they had the size of this list to the position index for this recent update, you will get this position. That's why I'm doing something like recent header position. We know it plus recent status list, this list. If you know the size, so I'm getting the size. That's where our viewed status will be. So now, if the size of our recent status list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is 5, right? Is 5. And that means this will give us 5. Let me just quickly do something. It means, don't forget, our recent update status is 1, right? You know that the value is 1 from what I explained earlier. So 1 plus, what is the size of our recent status list? It is 5, right? 5. So that means viewed update header position, this position will be at position 1 plus 5, which is what? 6. So let us count it if this will really fall on 6. Don't forget it is 0 index. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see, everything here is what? Is 6. Everything here is what? It's 6. So that would be the distance between the two of them. Don't forget there is a lag of 1 here, right? You will see where it comes into play later. I will show you that later. There is a lag of 1. There is a lag of 1. This is 6. So we are expecting our viewed update header to be at position, to be at interval 6. That means after counting this 6, there's a place. Okay, should I just quickly show you that? All right. That one is just what we added here. That one is what we added here. If you compute for this one too, it will lag by 1. The same thing we added to this place too. So it may look confusing, but I really want you to sit down with the code base. I'm trying my best to explain how you can manage the position to you. You still need to sit down with this code base so that you can get the logic entirely. All right, so let's assume that we've determined the position for all these headers. You've determined the one for muted header as well. So you've determined that and all. Okay, life is good and all. Okay. I'm trying to see something here. Sorry. Excuse me. Let me just play. I'm coming. I want to test something. I just want to test something out. Excuse me. I noticed like, yeah, I just hope it doesn't crash, but I expect it to crash here. Okay, it didn't crash. I mean, yeah. All right, I see. So there's a calculation that should happen here. Sorry about that. So, yep. So, sorry about that. So I think I need to explain this again. Yeah. So by this one that I added here covers for the position the recent update is sitting on, and I will explain why. So let us go with this again. This recent update header is 1 plus, what is the size of this? 5, and this one. That's what will give us the position where the header, where the views update header will be. All right, so now let us just quickly add it together. When you sum this together, this gives you 7. That means our viewed update header position must be at position 0. Put in mind is a 0 index. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, the distance is what? Is 7. Then this extra one is added here, and I will tell you why. This extra one covers for the position that this recent update is sitting on. This position for recent. Don't forget that we are only considering the size. We are considering the size of. Okay. I'm coming. I want to show you set position. I'm coming. Set position. So is the position of recent update header, this header, plus the list, this list of updates, plus extra one. The extra one is for this guy. Where this guy is sitting. That's why, because it's not part of the list. It's not part of the status list. Don't forget, it's not part of the status list. That's why we are adding this extra one, so as to determine the position of this view update. If I explain this second one, I'm sure you will get what I'm trying to say. Let me explain the position for muted update header position. So this one, so you know that this one is 1 plus 5, which is 7. This is 7, and our view status is what? Is 3. Then add 2 to it. Why are we adding 2? We added extra 2 positions, extra 2 items, which is the recent updates and what? And the view update headers. Those 2 guys, they are not part of this status list. That's why we added what? That's why we added 2. That's why we added the 2, and that gives us 7 plus 3 plus 2, which is what? That should be 12. So let us see. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you see what I'm trying to say now? So that means you've gotten the size of this view item as well, and you've been able to determine the position of all these of all these headers. I'm sure you will have questions, but I'm pretty sure that when you check the code base, your questions will be answered. And I'm just like a call away or a chat away for you to ask me your questions, because I'll be available after the class. So I'm not expecting you to get it once and for all, but you need to do your homework by sitting with the code base and try to understand it. So position is really, really important in this situation. So after you set this position, from this set position index, you now know the position where your recent update will be, where your viewed update status will be, where your muted update header, where they will be. So now it's now that position that you then use to determine what you will be showing on your recycler view. Don't forget, I said something about get item position. This get item position, we are returning get item view type rather. We are returning this position. And this position that you are returning, get item view type, is what is coming to this place. This int value that you are returning int as get view type. This int that you are returning is what is coming as a parameter to this place. So now is now that position you will use to determine what layout will be showing. Now let me expand this. Don't forget, this is inflate. Inflate typically is asking for what? The resource, layout resource. Is the layout resource is asking for. Let me show you. Chart adapter. See, this is the chart adapter that we were using before. The chart adapter we were using before. The inflate takes in what? Reference to a particular layout. It's taking a reference to a particular layout. But because we are having multiple XML here, multiple layouts on these screens, that's why we can't make it to be static like this. It has to be dynamic. And to make it dynamic, we are using position to determine. We are using the position to determine. So in this situation, we are calling this function to send to get for us the layout that we'll be showing, and to put the layout here. So let us see how we are to get the layout by position. So get layout by position. You can see by default, the item layout is status by default, because the status you are showing in the entire recycler view. Just as some positions, you are just changing it to what? You're just changing it to header, which is either recent update, viewed update, or muted update. So now see this. The condition here is this. If the position you are sending in equals to recent update header position, I actually explained that we got those values for you. If the position equals to recent update header position, or the position equals to the view update header position, or the position equals to muted update header position, those are the position values for all those our headers, So you need to now change the item layout that will be returned to what? To that of the divider. So let me then show you the divider so you can know. The divider is basically these dividers that you're seeing here. The divider is just the header. It's just the header. You can see it. It's just the header. So that's what we're doing here. So if the current position we are on, don't forget that position is returned by the get item type. It's returned by get item type, this position. And that position, I told you that is what is being passed on to your onCreate view order. So this position, we then wanted to know what layout we want to inflate. Then that position, we are passing it. We are passing the position to get position layout. We've determined the position for recent update header position, viewed update header position, and muted update header position. We are saying by default, return the layout for status item, which is this. For status items, which is this by default. We said that's what you should return. But if the position is recent update header position, or viewed update header position, or muted update header position, return the layout for header, then return this guy. I think that is pretty straightforward. I've been able to explain that to you. So you can see the int that is being returned is the layout reference. You can see that. So that is what is being returned here. You inflate it, then you pass the generated view. You pass the generated view to what? To your status view order. And same thing applies. The status view orders your text view, you'll make a reference to it. When you insist it, you make a reference to it. Then you bind the data, blah, 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 like I explained earlier. But we are passing one more function to this place. We want to know the type of view, the status view that is being sent. So we need to determine that, the type of status view that is being sent. Now, why is that important? See the user status view, this user status screen, you can see is a typical status screen, but has this more button. I'm sure you might have seen this more button in your WhatsApp. You can see this layout is the same thing as this layout. Let me just show you straight up. So see, can you see this more layout? Can you see this? This layout is the same thing as this. But if you hide this more button, set visibility, set it to gone. If you set the visibility to gone, is it not the same as other statuses for other people? Yes, it is. So you need to determine that to know when you are to hide this button and when you're not to hide it. And that's one of the reasons why you need to determine the status view type. I want to show you something. Why you need this second function. You need this second function as in this argument, that you need this second argument. And another reason is this. You can see that this recent of this header is the same thing as this. But if you check well, okay, I think something has changed. Okay, I'm coming. I want to revert some things. And something changed. Okay. All right, I'm coming. Okay, good. I think I'm able to map something out here. So this view update is the same thing as this layout for this is the same thing as the layout for this. And if you pay good attention to your WhatsApp, there is this button to collapse muted updates. So now let us go to this, our view holder, close others, this view holder. All right, and for collapse button, can you see this? This recent one is the same thing as this, but we have the visibility of this collapse button set to gone. Can you see? So we need to know what type of view, what type of header it is, so you know when to set this one to visible and when to set it to invisible. So let me show you how you will determine that dynamically. So how can you determine that dynamically? So that's what I call reduce to type, that is reduce position to type. And what does that function do? That function basically check this, that by default, the status view is status view status. But if the position is zero, return status as user status. If the position is the recent update header position, return status view type of recent updates. If the position is view update header position, return what? Return this status view, blah, blah, blah. So these two, they are like enums. They are enums. These are enums. Like I declared for message type earlier. So the same thing I did for this one as well. So and I added their property. Can you see the property? I'm sure if you navigate the code, you will see this and all, so that you can always check through the code and see. So this is a norm showing different type of view that you can have. This is for user status, this is for this recent updates. Talk about any type of view that you have here, and they have their property to text label. The text label, does it have more option? It doesn't have more option. Is it collapsible? You know, I told you about collapsing this muted update. I told you about this earlier. All right, so now I've told you how you will generate this, how you get this, because it's part of what you are sending to your status view order. So once you send it here, you have the view, item view itself, then you have the status view type itself. Then you can use this status view to know what you are dealing with at the moment. If the status view is the regular status or the user status, do this. It's just to set your view, hide, show, set the text, blah, blah, blah. Is it collapsible? Yes, if it is collapsible, do this. So it just tries to instantiate. This one tries to instantiate all these views. So it tries to instantiate it because this is calling your constructor, and your constructor will instantiate all this. So now by the time you're now buying the data, so the data for each of those views is different. So now for user status, you get this, the more icon you can see, this more button, you can see the visibility is set to what? The visibility is set to true because it has this icon itself. So we said visibility to true because it's of user status. For other status, yeah, sorry about that. I think there was a network disconnection. But can you all hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Oh, sorry. This internet. Okay, but were you able to catch up with what I was saying?
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that. All right, sorry about that. So I just have 5 minutes more, then I'm off with this class. I just have 5 minutes more, then we're good to go, and you can ask your questions and all. All right, so let me share my screen again. Yeah, here we go. All right, so let me share. Okay. All right. So yeah, you can all see my screen now. All right. So yeah, what I was talking about is how you can set all those views dynamically by binding data. You know, I explained this one to you earlier. I mean, to bind data, you bind data by calling this function, and it binds your data to your view, and everything is pretty straightforward starting from there. So my advice for you is to know how to manage your position. You can see that it was getting somehow confusing, or let me say getting complex when it comes to where you are managing your position and all. So that's what you need to look out for when you're designing when you're working with your multiple layout item recycler view. These are the things you need to watch out for. All right, so but I spent so much time explaining this to you, almost like 35 minutes explaining simple multiple layout item, blah 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 to you. But there are some situations whereby you may not want to use one recycler view to manage all the views in a particular screen. Don't forget, some views might be that very complex that you may not even be able to model it by using one recycler view. You may not be able to wrap your head around how to manage those positions. So I have a trick for you, and I have a simple way out for you. Yeah, so let me just quickly show you that and just give you this trick as a final bonus while we round off this session. Don't forget this screen that I was showing you then. Can you see the way it's scrolling? It's scrolling badly. And I think I showed you the layout the other time. All right, so let me show you the trick you can use to still achieve a smooth scrolling. Yeah, so let's go to main activity, and this is the second method. That second method, I was telling you the other time that I use the scroll view, and that scroll view will have as its own recycler, as the recycler view. This is the recycler. This is the recycler view for. This is the recycler view for the recent update. This is the recycler view for the viewed statuses, and these are the recycler view for the muted statuses. So the trick is here. Instead of using scroll view, change this scroll view to nested scroll view. So that is the trick. That is the trick. Although it is costly because performance-wise, it is not advisable because it will really cost you much. So now let us rebuild this. Let us rebuild this since we've changed it to nested scrolling. So don't forget is method 2 that we have very bad and very weird scrolling. So now since we've changed, it's because we're using scroll view in this situation. So let us change this guy to nested scroll view. So you change it to scroll view and you build. Let's see what happens. And here is a trick. You won't be able to know the difference between the two methods. So come here. All right. Can you see? Your next Spencer scrolls very well. Can you see? It scrolls very well, but you can still tell that you are using more than one recycler view. Actually, you can see. Can you see how this one is showing? Can you see this one too? Can you see the scroll over scroll mode effect? Can you see that? So you can always see that you use multiple scroll view, but in the long run, you're still achieving your smooth scrolling. There is no more difference between this and the one we use one recycler view for. You can see one recycler view for this, one recycler view. Can you see one recycler view? But this one, we use multiple recycler view. But that is the trick. I'm just showing you this trick. If you cannot achieve a multiple layout item recycler view with just one recycler view, you can use multiple recycler views. Although I'm not advising you to do that, but some views can be that complex that you may not be able to model it using recycler view. So your best bet will just be to use a nested scroll view to manage it. Nested scroll view will do the work of helping you to calculate some things under the hood, but performance-wise, it's not healthy. So let me show you what nested scroll view is made up of. So nested scroll view is just an extension of frame layouts. Nested scroll view is just an extension of frame layouts. Same way scroll view itself. Let me show you scroll view. Scroll view. Let me show you scroll view. You can see nested scroll view extends frame layout, and scroll view 2. Say scroll view 2. It extends frame layout, but there are just so many calculations going under the hood for nested scroll view. So performance-wise, it is not advisable. It is not advisable. So I'm gradually coming to the end of my class now, and I want you to see the assignment that I have for you. So there's a particular assignment that I want to give you, and obviously I'm done with my class. And during the class, we were able to use different layout managers. I was able to show you multiple layouts on one items. We were able to achieve setting the click action on child views. We were able to change data dynamically inside our adapter by using all those notify data set change, blah, blah, blah. We were able to animate child views in our recycler view. And at the same time, I showed you how to undo swipe actions in your recycler view. I'm pretty sure that you will now have a very good idea and we're able to achieve this class objectives. So before we move on, I want to tell you that 80% of our developers, and this is where your assignment lies, 80% of developers still use notify dataset change. Don't forget, we used notify dataset change actually. So let me show you. It's because I want to give you an assignment in that place. Sorry, can you see my Android Studio? Can you see my Android Studio?
Yes.
All right, good. So you can see that all these operations that I was telling you, they had more. This you can see all these had more. I was calling notify item reg inserted. This one to notify item inserted. You can see notify item removed, and at the same time you can see insert up. Okay, yeah, no, this one is a predefined one. Okay, say notify item change, blah blah blah. So most developers we still use all these functions. And performance-wise, is a very, very costly operations. It's a very, very costly operation. All of them, they are costly operations. And performance and resource-wise, they are very, very costly. So in a simple way, for you to understand how to dynamically change data, in your adapter, you need to know that, because that's where things evolved. So the assignment I'm giving you is you will implement these same operations using another method, and I will guide you through how you will do that, and you will submit the assignment to me. So we were using notify dataset change in the project. In the class that I took, you used notify dataset change, notify item range started, blah blah blah. You're able to do that, but this is the task I want to give you. So you might not know much about version control. I had some link to where you can read more on some of these things that I give to you. That's way when you read, then you get direction, and pretty much they are YouTube videos. So it's something you can always watch and get there. They are not something you read for long. Most of them, they are videos. So the task is this: you try to create a copy of the GitHub repository. The link that when you get the slide, the link is here. The link is here. So the link to the repository that I showed you is here. So you open this my repository on GitHub. Okay, maybe I should just show you. Okay, so this is it on GitHub. Yeah, I hope you can see. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So this is the project. This is the project that I just walked you through. So you will come to this page. The link is already on the slide. The link is on the slide, and the link is on the slide, and you can always get the link from here. So you will fork that repository. So fork is just you creating a copy of that repository. To do that, you will see the link here. So you clone the repository, and using your Android Studio, how you will do it is see it here. So now in that same repository, you create your own solution branch where you will achieve one particular the task that I'm giving to you. Now you read. Okay, yeah. You create your own branch. You can see how to do it here. Then the new way of handling those dataset changes is using diff-util operation. That is a new way of changing data. Instead of calling notify dataset change, notify this, notify that, blah blah blah. The new way of doing this, of making a UI change once the dataset has changed, is for you to use the diff-util. It's an Android class that has been written for you. It's an utility class that has been done for you, but you need to plug into those functions. So if you will read more on it here, then you do the task. The task lies here. The task lies here. So do this. All the specified data sets change. Use diff-util to implement those UI changes. And if you want to read more, read the notes here. So then you push back that's your solution. After you've implemented the diff-util, you push back that solution, you push it into your own forked repository. Your forked repository will be in your own GitHub account. It's just like creating a copy of my own repository for my account to your own account. Then you'll be able to make changes, blah 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 there. So that's pretty straightforward. If you read this, if you see more, you will know what I'm talking about. Then you'll be able to do that. So then I will post a solution after I've seen your submissions. Then I will do a correction for you, then share the repository with you so you'll be able to see the correction. But I want you to attempt it. That's the essence of you being a developer. You have to be able to attempt things and be able to try things by yourself. So by this, we are coming to the end of the class. And one thing I want you to know, now we are no longer talking about technical things. Now I want to tell you about how you can succeed in your career. So just know that anybody can write code. What differs is how individuals churn out codes, the way you solve problems, is what differentiates you from other people. Anybody can write code, but the way you write your code efficiently and professionally is what differentiates everybody. Did you get what I'm trying to say? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So anybody can write code, and what differentiates everybody is how you write your code. When implementing RecyclerView, I told you that, okay, you can use notify dataset change. It did the work. Notify dataset change, everything did the work. But I was still the same person that told you that notify dataset change, notify item inserted and all is now archaic, and performance-wise and resource-wise is not good because it's a costly operation. It did the work quite all right, but being a good developer makes you to know that this, you shouldn't do this. That is what you should do to write an efficient code. And that's why I was telling you to use the diff util. So anybody can write code, but the way you write code is what differentiates you. So I want to share with you just small things about myself, and that will be the end of this class. I will tell you how I evolved and how I was able to progress in my career up to this moment. So I was once like you too. Everybody started from one place, and I was once a beginner as well. When I was in college, when I was in the university, I attended OAU. So when I was in the university, because I studied computer engineering, when I was in school, I've always loved Java. And Java happened to be a course we took in part 2. So I've always loved Java since 2013. And once you can write Java to a length, you will be able to write Android conveniently. It's just a matter of you learning how to write the XML. Once you can write XML and just learn something about context, activity, some paradigms and just some design patterns, you'll be able to pick up Android conveniently. So I was at home in 2017 between June and February 2019, between June 2017 and February 2018. I was learning the basics of this thing because I was good in Java. I was very good in Java. So I just had to just learn things about XML, about fragments, about activity, and know how things works and how. So it was pretty straightforward, but I started from one place. There are free university courses outside there. You can always get it. They are very free. They are free. So start from there. You have to put dedication and perseverance. You have to do that. It's very important. So your consistency is what will determine your success. Actually, I will tell you this: your consistency will determine your success, in the sense that there are days when things will go wrong. You will see bug. You will fix some bugs for days, and don't think is an attribute. Don't think is a characteristic of a beginner. It's not a characteristic of a beginner. I too have had times when I had issues with code. The best thing for me to do at that moment is just to leave my PC, go and sleep, then come back to my code and check again. So it's actually funny. It's actually funny when you then see that the solution to a problem is smiling to you from the problem itself. Like, if you look at a problem from another angle with another eyes, you will see the solution smiling at you in the problem. So the solution, just know this, that the solution is always in the problem, always smiling at you in the problem. So just look at it critically. If you look overwhelmed by a problem, leave your PC, walk away, sleep, take a nap. Just walk away. Then what you bring it back to your code will be consistency, which is a symbol of dedication and perseverance. You need it. Don't give up. It's not the time to give up, because we are all here to change the face of the world. We are very, very important in this revolution. So you really matter. And developers are very, very scarce. And when I said developers, I meant good developers. Many people can write code. I will always tell you this. Many people can write code, but how we write code is different. That's why some people will not scale some interview tests by some industries, like, it's just for them. Okay, I can write this, I can write static, I can write context, I can write a class and all, but how you write it, can you apply it to a real life problem? That's another thing. Can you apply the code you're writing? Can you write it and apply it to a real life problem? So people can be able to write activity, but for them to be able to write it in real life, to apply it to real life scenario is a problem. So the way you learn your things, when you do your learning, please learn it professionally, in the sense that learn the right thing. Learn things, learn concepts. When you learn concepts, look out for how you can apply it to real life situations. You can see this class that I took you is just like a replica of WhatsApp. It's just like a replica of WhatsApp. I know other things are going on under the hood, but at least we learn. You can see that it's more or less like a replica of WhatsApp. That is a concept. You learn something about RecyclerView, but you can see that RecyclerView is what they use to design what you use for your day-to-day chat, interaction, and communication with people. I mean, WhatsApp and the basics there is just RecyclerView. Being able to adapt concepts and paradigms that you learn to real life problems is what makes you a professional. Is what makes you a professional. And every time you learn a concept, please try as much as possible to relate it to a life scenario. And of course, you will need the community. You will need the community of developers, mingle with other developers, because they are your network. That is your network. You need people. At times when you are stuck, and I'm happy people in my community, and I can see my way here, and I think one person like that is no longer here. I can see Johnson. So those guys, they are in my community. They're in my community, and these guys, when I have questions, I throw it out to them. When they have questions, they throw it out to me. Mayowa was still with me yesterday on a call, and how to just show him some things. That's what community will afford you. I don't think I've seen Mayowa before, but by the virtue of community, he has the access to me. So I can call me at any time that, okay, he wants me to do this for him, and that's what community will afford you. So basically, my personal learning and my personal commitment that, okay, we must change the face of this third, we must do this third revolution, must really matter in this digital revolution. The perseverance and the dedication I show to it, plus the community I'm in, really helps me to evolve. They were instrumental to evolve, to me evolving. And now presently, so how am I evolving? I'm evolving by reading articles, read documentations. We have other documentation. That's how you will keep on evolving. I would have been stuck to using notify dataset change, notify item remove, blah, blah, blah. If I'm not opened to reading articles and all, I won't know that there is something called DV2 that you can use to achieve that. But I'm putting out to you that your evolution is a continuous learning. Yeah, you can see I said how I'm evolving. I've not fully evolved, but yeah, you just have to keep learning, and just have to keep learning. All right. So you just have to keep evolving and all. So you keep learning, and you stay on course. All right. So my inspirations to evolve. Yeah. I want to solve more bigger problems. Yeah, that's my inspiration. I want to solve more bigger problems, meaning I must skill up. Yeah, I must skill up. If I want to solve more bigger problems, I have to skill up. That's the meaning of that. I want to solve more bigger problems. Don't be surprised if you see me as part of the Facebook developers tomorrow, or you see me in Google as part of Android engineers working on the SDK. Yeah, I really want to skill up, and I'm skilling up so that I will be able to solve more real life problems. So that's pretty what you need to do. So I want to solve more problems for more than 50,000 people, because currently I'm solving problems for like 100,000 users or more. Like, I've not solved problem for almost 1 million. So I'm scaling up so that I'll be able to solve more problems for people, like more people in millions. So that's my vision, and that's my inspiration to evolve every day. So you have to rise up to the situation, rise up to the occasion. So you skill up. That's the meaning. So I can solve more problems for more people. And I want to pick up more senior roles. I want to become a technical lead, and later in the future, I want to manage developers. So you don't manage developers if you don't have stuff. you need the stuff, you need the skill, you need the idea, you need the management skill and everything like that. So one day I want to manage a team and pick up more bigger roles. So those are my inspirations to evolve. And someday I hope to become a lecturer as well. So shortly I want to become a lecturer. So that's one of my inspirations and my evolution aspiration. Yeah, like I told you, I want to solve more bigger problems and I want to skill up. So those are my evolution aspirations, and I'm really inspired every day. So when I see bugs, I'm always like, oh, this is not where for me to stop. This is not the place for me to stop. I have to face this problem and solve it. It's up. And at the end of the day, I see myself smiling after I've read articles, after I've watched YouTube videos, after I've checked data videos to see how I can solve problems. I mean, after reading through and all, I'm able to solve the problem, and that's through articles, blah, blah, blah. I'm able to do that. And yeah, so, and lastly, let me share with you my first, second, and third job. So I will tell you that your network really matter. Yeah. So I got my first job via referral. So my first job in my first company. So I got it via referral, and I mean, through my network, someone just shared it on the community page, and it's okay if you name, if they're looking for a developer in their company, blah blah blah. Though I wasn't that proficient in this under development then, but I mean, I was able to take the test, and yes, I took the test, and I will tell you, getting your first job is just the hardest thing. I'm going to say it's the hardest thing. It's not hard. I'm not saying it's hard, but it's hard compared to you getting your second job. And that's why I actually wrote this first job in bold. Please, don't be discouraged. Your first job may look somehow, but once you get your first job, it's very easy for you to get your second job. Second job, third job, fourth job, they are very easy to get. So don't be discouraged. Your first job may tarry somehow, but please put in more time, put in more time, put in more time. When you put in more time and you are able to solve just simple problems that they are asking you, then you have your first job. So switching your job is easy. Getting your second job is easy. Getting your third job is easy, and all other job after your first job, they are very, very easy. But this first job, build yourself very well so that you'll be able to tackle all those problems that they will be pushing to you at the interview levels, at the interview stages, just to solve some real life problem and see how proficient you are and all. Please don't be discouraged. Your first job will come so soon. Just be determined. Please, just be determined. And my second job, after my first job, me as a testimony, I will tell you that I never applied for any other job. Okay, let me quickly show you something. Let me quickly show you something on my Twitter page. On my Twitter page, let me just quickly show you something. So, sorry, can you see my Twitter page? Can you see Twitter here? Can you see my Twitter page?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, sure. So please use every social media you are on as an opportunity. You get? Can you see my pinned tweet? Can you see the tweet that I pinned? Yeah. Every milestone that I achieve in my career, please, can you mute your mic? Okay, thank you. So every milestone that I achieve in my career, I put it out here, and that's where I get links and get people coming to my DM that, okay, can you work for us and all. All right, so this particular one, okay, so let me tell you this officially that just on February 14, I was certified by Google as an associated developer. I mean, I was super excited about it. And this is not the tweet that got me my second job. This is the tweet that got me my second job. Let me show you. So this is it. I've put up this tweet since June what? June 3rd, 2019. This was the tweet, and this certificate was what my current employer saw, and they reached out to me. I never applied. Guys, I'm still telling you, this is our Udacity Now degree program certificate. I never applied. They saw this and they contacted me. Oh, will you be willing to work for us, to work with us and all? Oh, why not? Then I went through the test, series of interviews and all. I mean, and here I am smiling. So your first job, once you get it, switching is very easy. So please, your network, this is my network too. I know the people you follow. I follow people that I know that, okay, they can really add to me. They can really add to me. So the likes of Prosper, Temuyiwa and all, I know that's those ones they share things about tech. So that's my tweet. That's my pinned tweet. It will always be here. Anybody coming to this page will always see this, and they will know me as an Android developer. And if they see everything that I've done, and if you see here, what do you see here? You see my LinkedIn. From here, you can go to my LinkedIn. You can go to my LinkedIn. Because of that pinned tweet, I mean, you'll be able to see many things about me. So I encourage you, every platform you are, please try as much as possible to use it for your own benefit. Every social media you are, please use it for your own benefit. All right. So what else do I have for you? I think I've pretty talked about that. I've pretty talked about it. Okay, I'm coming. So do I have any other thing to still tell you? So yeah. So yeah, like I said, your network is your net worth. Yeah, stay connected to a community. Your network is your net worth. Please stay connected to a community. And I mean, thank you very much. It has been a beautiful time taking you through these things. So you can reach out to me. This is my email address. You can reach out to me on this. You can check me up on my Twitter handle. I will always respond to you because my DM is opened. If you want to know more about other things that I've worked on, my GitHub and all, you can always check it out. So this is my repository, and I have so many things in my repository which you can check up, things that I've worked on. So I've worked on teen stores. My repository is my repository. I mean, you can always check things up, and also I have these which will be really good for you. And if you check them up, they will really do something great for you. I mean, thank you for the time. Thank you for everything despite the network and all. And I still able to have this class. I'm super excited to be part of some people putting you through some things in Android. Thank you very much, and wish you success in your career. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Larry. It's been nice of you sharing.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Larry. Hi.